Cody Lundin learned early that life rarely stays still. He was born on March 15, 1967 in Prescott, Arizona at 8:15 in the morning, but his childhood unfolded across different countries and bases because his father served in the U.S. Air Force. Constant relocation meant a new home every few years, and by the time he was 12 he had lived in several states and spent part of his childhood in West Germany. Without many toys or a steady sense of place, Cody wandered the outdoors, studying how snow hardened the ground, how forests sounded when he held his breath, and how cold punished unwary skin. Sticks and stones became his entertainment. Nature became his classroom. Returning to the American West only pushed him deeper into the wild. Military bases often sat far from towns, leaving Cody alone to explore scrubland and desert. He built small shelters from sticks and rocks, noted which ones collapsed, and learned through failure rather than instruction. When loneliness crept in during his father's long deployments, he foraged across the base, tasting berries and insects just to understand what the land offered. Survival was not a dramatic challenge for him back then. It was comfort, structure, and control. At 12, his family stopped moving and settled in Laramie, Wyoming, but roots never took hold in him the way they did for others. Instead, he kicked off his shoes permanently. Bare feet grounded him, sharpened his awareness, and made him feel alive. People stared, teachers scolded him, and classmates mocked him, yet he kept walking barefoot even in winter snow. He built underground forts in nearby forests, hiding from the pressure at home as his father battled PTSD. Those shelters became his sanctuary and taught him how self-reliance could quiet storms on the inside. Cody joined an outdoor club hoping to finally meet people who respected nature like he did. But during a camping trip, adult leaders ignored obvious signs of hypothermia among the kids. The lack of preparedness struck him. He left the club and began practicing firemaking alone, testing steel wool and flint until sparks became second nature. By 16 he was disappearing into Medicine Bow National Forest for long hikes alone, and at one point got lost for 2 days, surviving on stream water and pine nuts. That experience earned him respect, not for academics but for courage. By the time he graduated in 1985, Cody cared little for traditional paths. He refused scholarships and spent months hitchhiking, learning edible plants, sleeping in ditches, and carving tools as payment for odd jobs. He lived on the edge of survival not because he had to but because it hardened him. When he moved to Denver at 18, he lived behind buildings and brush piles, ate from dumpsters, and worked construction. Later he joined a commune near the Mexican border, but even their idealism felt too soft, so he built his own palm frond hut away from everyone else. Solitude suited him better. Eventually he drifted back to Prescott, Arizona, saving money from jobs until he bought his first bow drill set. He spent nights under the stars trying to coax flame from friction. He failed over and over, then finally succeeded, and each spark strengthened his resolve. At Prescott College he lived for 2 years in a brush shelter he built himself, cooking over open fire, surviving on acorns and mesquite pods while studying psychology. His wild lifestyle merged with academics, shaping a belief that survival is rooted in mindset as much as skill. At 23, he founded the Aboriginal Living Skills School (ALSS), with only $10 to his name. His first survival classes were free, held at local parks where he taught firemaking using simple materials. A dozen people came the first year and word spread fast. Students built shelters themselves, slept in them, learned from failure, and returned home changed. A rancher impressed by Cody's dedication offered him a patch of land, giving Ellis a real home. By the mid-1990s more than 100 students a year learned primitive fire, water purification, edible plants, and winter survival under his guidance. He even advised the U.S. Forest Service and later co-authored books like 98.6 Degrees and When All Hell Breaks Loose, both of which gained national attention. By the early 2000s, his teachings appeared on PBS, and FEMA consulted him for disaster preparedness. His commitment to authenticity eventually brought him to television. In 2010, Discovery filmed the pilot of Dual Survival, pairing Cody with Dave Canterbury. Cody valued practical skill over showmanship and often refused staged drama. Dave, however, exaggerated military credentials and leaned into theatrics until the network fired him. Cody's reputation, meanwhile, grew. Viewers saw calm competence in him. He filtered muddy water through socks filled with charcoal, built snowshoes from willow in Alaska, and could start fires barefoot in freezing canyons. Then came Joe Teti. Their partnership began in 2013, but unease formed quickly. Joe, intense and military-driven, often handled weapons recklessly. During a Hawaiian shoot, he waved a spear too close to crew and Cody felt genuinely at risk. Producers didn't intervene, they liked the tension. In Norway, Cody refused a dangerous 40-foot ice climb without safety ropes, knowing it could easily trigger hypothermia. Joe mocked him on camera, and editing made Cody look cautious while Joe appeared fearless. Cody filed multiple complaints but nothing improved. Danger and hostility became part of filming. In 2014, during a shoot in Patagonia, something happened that stayed with Cody long after cameras stopped. Joe pulled him aside privately. He showed Cody photos, disturbing images of people he claimed he had killed during his time working overseas. Cody later said that Joe delivered the story as a warning, almost like a threat. Crew members witnessed the exchange and saw Cody's reaction. He reported his concerns, but the network allegedly buried them, prioritizing drama over safety. After Cody spoke publicly years later, Discovery removed him from Dual Survival and portrayed him as unstable. A lawsuit followed, drawing attention to the darker side of reality television, the staged danger, the pressure to escalate conflict, and what happens when a star challenges producers instead of playing along. Cody's life is a thread running from a barefoot child wandering icy military bases to a man standing in wild landscapes teaching millions how to survive with almost nothing. Every shelter he built as a boy, every fire he coaxed from wood, every night slept outdoors made him who he became. His journey was never about fame. It was about resilience, connection to the earth, and trust in instinct. The controversy that ended his time on television didn't erase his decades of work. It simply revealed how far entertainment will sometimes push risk, and how costly it can be for those who insist on truth instead of spectacle.